This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another one of our speaker series. Today is the 4th of June, and it is a warm one here in Boston for sure. Today we're talking to Queen Banda, who is a dynamic multimedia professional with experience as a producer, a writer, an outreach coordinator, and a communications specialist. Currently, she's a journalist at WCTV in Wareham and WCAI with the Cape and the Islands NPR station, Woods Hole. Queen graduated with a bachelor's in journalism from Bridgewater State University. Originally from Tanzania, her inspirational journey to reinventing herself and creating a life filled with peace and love was captured in her autobiography, The Luckiest Bastard. She is an inspiring storyteller whose thorough work as a journalist documents the day-to-day life and current events and personal stories of members of her community. So she's a staple in the community, and we're glad to have her with us today. So everybody do a virtual round of applause for Queen Banda. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your story? I bet you, well, I have tons of questions about the difference between news here and news in maybe Tanzania, but you know, what made you want to be a journalist?
Well, I always say that since at a very young age, the first time I've ever gotten the question that is, what would you like to be? What do you aspire to be? I said news, but I said news because I wanted to be on TV. I really didn't even communicate news and journalism equals one. I didn't understand the blood and sweat, the work that takes in place, the discipline. I didn't understand any of that. And I hold on to that, as vague as that response was. I hold on to that. And when I went to Bridgewater State University, I majored in communications. And once again, I ended up learning about the discipline of journalism after I graduated. It's one of those instances that once you start working, then you piece everything together to see what journalism really means to you. And part of it because I love storytelling. I'm always captivated when I hear someone say anything, talk about anything. I'm one of those people who would just drive randomly and really roll back. It's like, okay, I just saw a lovely bush of roses, and I just want to knock on somebody's say, hi, how do you get this color going? How do you protect your roses? It has come so easily, and thank goodness I've yet to be misunderstood by anyone.
Yeah.
So it just comes from a place of love and curiosity, and if we equate that with the title journalism, then all right, I'll take it.
That's great. I guess let's start at the beginning. How was life in Tanzania, and what ended up making you move from there to over to the US?
Well, if you think right now it's hot in Boston, then you haven't been in Tanzania. Okay, I actually didn't even think I could tan until I came to the United States. After I experienced a good winter, then the summer came, wearing my sunglasses, coming back, I have this raccoon eyes like that. I'm like, oh my God, so I can actually tan. That's how hot it is there, constantly the sun. I was like, okay, maybe I wasn't as dark as I thought I was.
Right.
I came to United States for schooling, and my uncle, my mom's youngest sibling, brought me here together with his own family. So I came here, I went to school here, and I had a green card as soon as I came to United States. So I ended up staying and pursuing my citizenship. As I said, I went to Bridgewater State, and then now I am working. I just moved to Acushnet, but now I'm working in Wareham in WCTV at WCTV. But yeah, so it just predominantly was to come here to learn and then maybe go back to Tanzania, but just circumstances were better for me here, and I figured, I could just stay, save myself some money.
That's true. How was the program? I actually graduated from Bridgewater State too. How was the program for journalism? Did you enjoy it? Was it inspirational, and did it make you want to follow, or very? Because I went to Bridgewater State and I ended up changing my major to communications, but then I did more of a media side of it. but I changed my mind earlier. When you went there, did you automatically knew you were going for journalism, or did you find that kind of by accident?
No, automatically. I was looking at point me to where I can end up on TV.
Okay.
That was
Yeah,
my
yeah.
really. Point me to where you tell me whatever, but just point me to where I can end up on TV. So I ended up in journalism. Bridgewater State University, as I came to realize later on, it isn't a journalism school. It is predominantly for teaching. And those who went there for teaching, I think they got more bang for their money than the rest of us. And unfortunately, when I was pursuing going to college, I was so naive. I really didn't do my homework. And it's sad because you want to be a journalist. I didn't do my homework. And if I did, and if I knew the discipline and what this entails, I would have ended up in Emerson. That seems to be
Right.
all my role models have gone there. Those are the journalism school, well, journalist school when it comes around here. But yeah, so at Bridgewater, I learned what I'm doing right now. I've learned through practice by myself. It's not something I was taught. Maybe they taught us about being ethical during the job, but it sounded so common sense.
Yes.
Don't lie. You know, it sounded common sense. Sounded like the 10 Commandments. Don't cheat.
That's true.
Yeah.
And when you think about journalism, their version of the 10 Commandments is understanding words like slander or defamation or fair comment or criticism. So I could picture, yeah. So common sense. I can see that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
When you're in working for WCAT, are you doing, is that TV, like local cable access news TV, or is it also radio as well?
WCTV is it's not predominantly, it's just strictly TV, local TV. We cover the Tri-Counties. We also broadcast in Plymouth. So a little bit of the Plymouth, because we're in Plymouth County, so a little bit of our neighboring towns can catch us as well. So very local. You cannot compare it to BNN, Boston Network. They're larger, way larger than us. But the good thing I think about us, we rely heavily on social media. So most of my work goes on social media. Therefore, you don't have to be from Wareham. You don't have to live in Wareham or all the Tri-Counties to catch what we're doing. But the WCAI, that is Cape and the Islands, and we actually go to New Bedford and the South Coast, I should say so. South Coast, Cape and the Islands. So we serve a much larger scale there. So normally any story of mine that can make it to the radio station, much more exposure on my part.
So do you have to travel to the islands, or do you bounce around a lot, or do you stay like on, we'll call it the mainland for sake of argument, and then your stories are told on the islands, or do you get to go out there at all?
As far as I've gone is Plymouth. I should probably do that. I'm not a big fan of taking any boat ride, really. Yeah. But I should probably do something like that. I know my boss will heavily appreciate it. But so far, a little bit at a time. So we'll see. But yeah, as far as I've gone, it's just Plymouth, and stories just kind of come to us.
Yeah. What is one of the most exciting news stories that you've covered?
Oh God, I've done so much. Anybody who is pursuing this career, they will know that your paycheck never reflects what you do, what you have to deal with every single day. So how I augment my income is from the stories that I cover. A recent story that has really touched my heart. I am producing a series called COVID-19 Journal. And I just ask people about how they are doing, how they're handling the pandemic, plans that they had to revise. And my neighbor, Wayne, he has MS, and he was able to sit down and speak with me about his story. That really touched me. It's something about Wayne. He was so gentle, such a gentle soul. And you talk about being home or being isolated from your family and all that. I mean, yeah, but to me, that doesn't mean much. You're not disturbing my routine whatsoever. I mean, I still talk to my parents on the phone. I'm sure my siblings appreciate the distance that we have, and the fact that, oh, so you're telling me legally I can't see you? Great. So it takes away the approach. But here's Wayne, an elderly. He's not doing so well. He needs these programs. He used to attend a program at Bridgewater State that helped him to maintain his speech, and he's not getting that help. So to him,
Yeah.
it's really detrimental to social distance. To him, it's not just about going to a club, going to a restaurant. That's all you hear. Oh, I miss my drink. I miss this. But here's the human being who really relies on social interactions to help him with his condition. So that really touched my heart. And as soon as I came out of that interview, I just felt so rich at heart to meet him, to hear his story, to be the one to document that story for him, for his loved ones. One day when they are talking about him, they can actually look at what I have done, our interview, our interaction together. And yeah, so that's the latest one I could point to.
Have you had any personally stories that you should have covered or could have covered but could have or could not because of the COVID-19 pandemic? Like, has your job been affected in terms of reporting because of this, or is it
Oh, my
given
job,
or
yeah,
more?
heavily
Yeah,
affected.
yeah.
Like everybody else, working from home, you see what I do, it's almost like a magazine show.
Okay.
I am there for the laughs. I'm there for the little interactions. I'm there for the scenery. What can you do? You when I couldn't sit down with someone, when I couldn't go to the person's home, okay, that really affected me. Then I started thinking, how else can I draw that emotion from someone if we only have to do a phone interview? And sometimes Zoom interviews are horrible. They don't even work as well. How well can you maintain that same quality in human emotion and dignity in a story? So it has affected me. And now as we are reopening the country, slowly but surely, we're getting there. But with the masks on, I mean, it's just, my head is always running like, okay, this is a very important story. I'm about to do one in Sharon on Sunday, and I crossing my fingers like this when I was on the call with her, saying, can I meet you? Can we sit 6 feet apart? Can I just take
Right.
your camera and go elsewhere, just answer my questions? But that is so important because her story, what she's about to share with me, it's so crucial. And I would not want to underestimate it because when it comes to production, it's just as important the way you put things together and the way you film, and you can see a person and sympathize with that person. So it has changed everything for everyone. But just being on the media, oh my God, it's not the same. I mean, I don't know when will we be able to go to people's homes again and do this as the way we used to.
Right. Have you had any I'm trying to think, like any cancellations or like any good stories that you could have done where they just stopped it because?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, tons.
Oh, oh my God, where do we begin? Events. As I said, I have a lot of events.
Yeah.
Those no events whatsoever.
Right. Yeah.
This, yeah, a lot. Ride-alongs. I wanted to do a series, riding with police, but imagine staying and with the mask. I was like, hey, next time.
Next time. That's right.
Next time. But yeah, so many. As I said, I'm always chasing the story, and it's not breaking news. My pieces are not breaking news. Just the story, the human interaction. That's what fuels me. That's what I'm always chasing. And I need to have it all instead of all this passionate of, okay, 6 feet apart, and then also when you meet a person you're used to, well, anyhow, me, I'm like, hi. And after you finish, you can even hug a person if the topic was so intense and you're like, and I'm like,
I know. uh, I know. It will change soon, I'm sure.
oh, can't wait.
Mm. What have been one of the saddest stories you've ever had? We talked about the good ones, and we talked about inspiration that you've had, but has there any been something that you'd have to cover that kind of was like really really sad?
Well, a lot, and I think how you present the stories to say if they are sad or not, the tone and the command in person, it's so said if you tell a story from a victim perspective, then you become a victim, and that's how people see. Um, oh my God, I'm trying to think of something recently. As I said, Wayne, that was sad, though he didn't tell it in a victim from a victim perspective, so that was
Right.
hopeful. There was a woman, pregnant woman, about to give birth very soon. I just need to call her and ask her. This is her first pregnancy. She has this phobia of dying in childbirth.
Oh.
Her family is in Cape Verde. It's only her and her husband. They're both kids. By kids, like they're my age. They're in their 20s, 25. Like you're kid. They're just kids.
Right.
And she's talking to me about, oh, I see that some hospitals do not let you bring your loved one to the hospital and be there with you, because that's what's happening when they go to doctor's appointments. He stays outside and she goes in by herself. So she's here. She's like, this is my first pregnancy with this phobia that I have, and this trauma within me. How will I cope? And I do not know how busy the nurses are going to be that day. Who's going to be there? Not only help me deliver, but who's going to be there to assure me everything is fine? So she's here describing her panic attacks, and I'm like holding my heart so tightly because I am young. I could not imagine myself being in that situation, yet alone not being there with my mom, with my dad, with everybody who has brought me into this world and has raised me to this point, to be there as my support. So that was just so sad. It was just so sad, from one woman to another, from one young woman to another, from just so many elements. And I could understand her wishing that her mom from Gifford was there, but of course, traveling is limited these days, and unfortunately she'll have to go through this alone. I think you froze.
Yikes.
Who said yes?
Hi,
Who's
Quinn.
M? Hi. Oh, Mariama.
Let me find out what happened to Chuck. Oh,
I'm
he's
here.
back.
Oh, Chuck is
Hold on.
back. It just froze. Yeah.
I don't know what
I was
happened.
command this app thinking it's better than Zoom. Mariama and I had our episode yesterday.
Yeah. Maybe Zoom's better. But sorry about that. So we got cut off. I don't know, or maybe you kept on going and I just wasn't there. Let's talk about your book real quick. So congratulations on writing your book. It sounds
Thanks.
like the story behind it. It sounds pretty exciting. Well, just from the title, but could you tell us a little bit about it?
It's about coming to America. Thank goodness I watched the movie before I wrote my book. Yes, just the journey of growing up in Tanzania, where I grew up, how I perceived things as a young person, to how I started perceiving things as an adult, and especially then comparing the two cultures, United States and Tanzania, and finding some harmony in between. And just a lot about my personal life and personal struggle, abuse, and violence, and really finding that voice. As I said, these days, if anything, I learned that if you tell your story from a victim perspective, then you're always a victim. It doesn't matter, what I learned, and I hope it's the message that I pass along in my book. That is, what happened to you is not that it's not relevant, but what happened to you, the event, is not the story. The story is what emerged after the event. Life happens. Okay, I'm not the first case of victim of abuse. I will not be the last case. But the story, my story began after that. It didn't start with or didn't end with the abuse, because to those who are still in the same environment that I am no longer in, there are those whose voices are suppressed, and mine is out there as free as it could be. So yeah, that's basically my book, just my life journey, and to show that what happened to you, no matter how horrible it was, that is not the story. What did you do with yourself afterwards?
See, and that's a very, very positive message. And I like how you said, like, if you begin to tell the story in that negative way of being the victim, then you'll always be a victim. And then, having that, like, I love how you just mentioned how this is where my story begins, and then the after. That's great. Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah,
Also,
absolutely. Sorry.
we have nope, sorry. We have a whole bunch of questions that some people from the audience are asking. So we talked about how you always wanted to be on TV, and that was, point me in the direction of the TV. Is there any other aspect of reporting that appeals to you? Or is it like mostly TV storytelling? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's basically storytelling. And I've known that it's strictly storytelling because, okay, once again, with this pandemic, I still have to conduct interviews. Nowadays, I'm doing Zoom interviews. I used to just do phone call interviews, but yet it's the story. If this story is there, it doesn't matter if it's over the phone, over Zoom, face to face, it is the story. I still feel that same joy from it. It is just strictly the story. And I'm realizing that more and more, because I do not think I follow the journalistic guidelines, like how journalists consider themselves, see themselves. I am not one of them. I'm really not. I feel I stand out, and not for the good part, because I don't take myself seriously. I am just me. I'm just breathing, happening to know this person who wants to talk to me, and here it is. That's how I run with my life. I wake up in the morning, especially these days, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna chase our tail again, Queen. Are you ready? Great. Go to the bathroom, put on the wig, put on a vest, sit in front of a computer, and see who is willingly to speak with you, just like that. I don't have any agenda, truly. As I said, the story that about in sharing, it can be, if I've seen other journalists, they just like sensational. Okay, an event happened, it's sharing, boom, go attack. No, I called everybody involved, explain to myself, give them time to know me, make them feel like, okay, I'm not here to attack you. Tell me how we will proceed. Do you want questions ahead of time? Would you like to review the program before it airs? All of those things. So that's how I do it, and once again, I don't even think I should be labeled as a journalist. I'm just a very nosy person who just knows how to use the camera and knows how to ask questions.
That kind of makes me want to be a journalist. Do you find that is public speaking hard when you have to do larger events, or when you're in front of people, or asking large groups of audience questions, or being a journalist in front of large crews?
No, not for me anyhow. My teacher said my Achilles heel is that I'm not intimidated by anybody or anything. I can wake up this morning and say I want to have an interview with like some senator, okay? And the first thing is find a phone, if you could find a phone number, and I'll just call, like, right. Not thinking, Quinn, this person is big. Like, who are you? You're not. No, I just like do it. But at the same time, I don't think of things through it. I don't think things through. So it's like, okay, now what? You got this person, and now what? It's almost like we'll correct each other as we go on. Okay, we'll refine things as we go on. But yeah, I've never been intimidated, and I hope people are not intimidated by me, because it's not what I'm about. There's nothing about me that is threatening, and I'm just nosy.
Yeah, has that nosy, unthreatened, sunshiny demeanor opened any unexpected doors for you, or are you exactly where you want to be right now?
unexpected doors. I'm right now working with a career coach to get me to the next level. And they help you. They say reach out, make contacts, and talk to them, this and that. I do it, but it comes so hard. And then you're chasing a story where I'll be rolling my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, this is totally useless. And then that person says to you, oh, I really like what you do, Queen. My mom or my aunt teaches at Emerson, and she used to be a producer at WCTV.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, hold on. Great. Can you connect me with your mom or your aunt? And just like that. And that's how I find my network. And that's how, and it has opened doors that way. Now, for instance, I used to get dressed up, and my main event was to bring my resume, hard copy, to Woods Hole. I know, first of all, it's a long drive, about an hour, okay? Yeah. You go there, and I say to myself, Queen, it's not going to happen. Like, the best thing they're going to say is, thank you, and I will keep you posted if something comes up. So I'll go there. I'll do it. And then when I wasn't even thinking about it, when I was I'm like, that's it, I'm done. Then she calls me. She's like, yeah, there's this position open, and I remember your personality. Are you interested? Yeah. So same thing, like it has opened doors that way. I think just if you lead with your heart and you're genuine with people rather than, hi, I am Queen, and I'm speaking with you because you're very famous, and I want to be famous as well. So point me to the right path. It's not going to work out. Rather than just hi. And if you want to share your wisdom, please, I'm here to listen.
Through all that we've heard today and all that you've been through in the past, and you're so positive, and like you said, that personality got you your job there, right? But where did you learn to stay positive? How'd you learn to be positive at all times?
I think it's just intrinsically embedded in my DNA, and I don't even consider it being positive. I just consider it breathing, just a way of being. For example, I'm not endorsing drinking, but whenever I go shopping, I'll say to myself, Queen, there are a lot of things that I can't do because of my income level. Understandable. But what I can do, I will do it. So if I can afford to buy myself a bottle of wine, you betcha, I will go for the best and the best and the best. So it boils down to that, with like being positive. There are a lot of things I can't control. But what can I control? I can control smiling. That I can control. I can control how I feel. I can control how I interact with people. That gives me control. Okay, that doesn't take away control from me, and that's the way of living, And I feel that when we think about being positive, it's like a chore, like remain positive. No, just see it as a way of life, because it's the one thing I think that you can manage. A bill came, you can't pay. Oh well, what can I do? This came, I can do. Oh well, this is what I can do. You always focus on what you can manage. And I think it's going to alleviate stress and actually help you move forward with your life. You can't focus on the wall in front of you. That wall, for all I know, will always be there, but it doesn't mean I have to stand there and look at it.
I'm going to write that down. That's great advice. We have time for one more question. We're at the end here. Is there any advice that you would give any young journalists or anybody who are interested in your career path? Any tips of the trade, maybe? Words of advice.
Words of advice. If you want to be a journalist, you have to understand what that means. Not only the definition of what journalism is, but what journalism will mean to you. You have to evaluate yourself, what you're good at, you yourself. Am I good at writing? Do I pay attention to details and so forth? Is it my personality that is shining? You have to evaluate yourself and then take all those evaluations and fit them into this definition of how you perceive journalism to be. When we see, even I have to remind myself, it is not necessarily the big lights, you know, though I want to get there one day, the big lights, the big studio, the bigger audience. But in some ways, I'm already there with the bigger lights, the big studios, and the bigger audience, because to those who show up and watch my stuff, email me, call me, text me saying, Queen, there is this, please look at it. That's I'm already there. So you have to remind yourself what it means. You know, you want to make it, I want to be famous. Well, what does that mean? How do we quantify that? Because if we do not quantify things, we are going to really feel like we're chasing our tails for the rest of our lives. I remember I write in my diary almost every single day. But I remember this was way early on. And I think before even it came to this country. And my dreams were very simple. I wanted happiness. I wanted to wake up in a house where there aren't any noises. Nobody said any mean thing about me. I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to be on TV. I got, like, if you go back on that list, is check, plus. So the rest right now, it's just staying afloat, you know, paying my bills and so forth. That's the only thing that's left. But I have the bigger lights. I have made it on TV. You know, you need to quantify those things, and then you look and you'll find out where you want to be. You're actually already there. So anything on top of that is a plus. It's not taken away. It's a plus. You are done. You ran your mile. You're done. You got medals on. You're done. Anything on top of that is a plus. That's it. So you gotta know, whatever your dream is, what that means to you. And that's it.
That's great. I wish I only absorbed as much positive energy that you put through this screen. It's wonderful. You're so positive and so smart. And thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to hang out with us and tell us about your story. And I wish you luck in what you're doing with your career coach next step.
Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good night.